Adam Nulton. How are you?
Good. How are you doing, John?
Good, man. We got a musician, a business owner, a motivational speaker of sorts. Good.
Yeah, I got
Check all
myself
the
involved in
boxes.
a couple. Yeah, exactly.
Check all the
Yeah,
boxes. When do you sleep?
it's tough, man. It really is tough. No, I kind of just I'm very good with multitasking, so I'm constantly on the phone, and then when at business, like in between calls, I'm writing some motivational quotes, stuff to share with people. I gotta make sure everybody's doing well.
Yeah, well, Adam is from northeastern Pennsylvania. Like I said, he's a musician. We'll talk about some of the music he's involved with. Um, a business owner, Northeast Auto Glass.
Hmm.
Um, and then he runs a page called Strength Over Weakness, which I think is available on Instagram, Facebook, all that kind of stuff. But before we get into it, do you remember when we first met?
Briefly, were you doing some sort of advertising or something? Is that what it was?
I was in sales for the Weekender,
Okay. Yep. Okay.
and you had a clothing store on like it was it Midtown Village in Wilkes-Barre. That was you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It was. Yeah. Next to Katana.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's when I
Hmm.
first met you.
Oh, okay. Dude, I don't even remember. It's been so long. That's like 12 years ago.
What was that place called? Like Addiction or
Uh,
something?
Addiction clothing. Yeah.
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 What
One of
made you?
my ventures.
Yeah, I mean, you're always doing something. I think. Well, yeah, because outside of the Northeast Auto Glass, you also started a junk removal company too, right?
Well, yeah, I was starting to do that, and it was becoming very competitive. I noticed there's a lot of guys that are in the area, and they're, doing a lot of cleanups for next to nothing. So it's not really going to probably be a lucrative thing that I'm going to invest in because
Wow.
there's individual guys. I don't want to take work away from people.
Sure. Yeah.
That's even just like my glass business. We all worked for a large corporation. We all kind of split off and did our own little thing, and we feed each other work. When I can't do a job, and I'm too busy, I send work to some friends of mine that have the same type of business. So the junk removal business that's been that was I think it was like about a month and a half that I started it ago, and I was getting some phone calls, and there was a friend of mine, Dave, and I've just been giving him the work because he kind of does that type of uh, that type of work all the time. So it's a very competitive business, and I don't want to take work away from these guys, so they got to need to keep feeding their families.
Yeah, but I feel like there's probably enough to go around because I don't know. I don't know if it's everywhere, but I mean, it's hard to find people to do anything these days.
Well, it is. And, I had a very good response from the social media on Facebook when I posted it that I was looking for employees. And I got, geez, I mean, there had to have been at least 20, 25 people that reached out. And there are a lot of people that I knew. I'd be more than happy to help them out. But, being in a business like that, that's very competitive, and then giving people price quotes, it just wouldn't make any sense for me to send them out there and for the amount of money that people want to spend. There's these one man operations that are going out and doing cleanups for $150. If I send one or two guys to remove mattresses and couches and then dispose of them, I wouldn't make any money. I'd
Right.
rather them pocket that, so
Sure.
it's only the right thing to do.
Okay. Well,
So
we'll scrap the scrap business.
there you go.
Where do you want to start? You want to start with the glass? You want to talk about the music? What do
Yeah,
you want to do? I mean,
let's talk about everything, man. Let's talk about the glass business. I mean, because we've been doing that for a long time, and that's something I'm pretty comfortable with starting out with.
yeah, I mean, I remember you being on River Street, right? And Plains there. Are you back there now?
Uh, yeah, we're back there again. We were there back in 2009 to 2011, and then we ended up moving out of there because of personal reasons, and we just kind of kept afloat. But we ended up starting on Scott Street in Wilkes-Barre,
Okay.
right behind Liberty Pizza there. And we were there for a few years, and then we kind of outgrew that location, and then we ended up building that place over there. Well, the landlord I was renting off of built the building for us, and then, like I said, we're there for a few years. And then we were just kind of working out of my house for a short period of time. But then we went back to Scott Street And now with all this new technology, we start doing calibrations with all the cameras and the safety equipment that needs to be reprogrammed. So we needed another location. And my landlord, again, we've had a good reputation. He says, that place is for rent over on River Street. And I'm like, get out of here. It's like, yeah, because that was like my baby, man. I designed the whole thing. I custom built the countertop, and it was great to be back to where we were. So that's where we're at now.
That's great. Why glass? What got you into the business?
Well, geez, 23 years ago, I've been doing this for 23 years now. And, a girl I was dating, her best friend's boyfriend was a manager. We were having a couple beers around the fire one night. We were talking about the different industries that we were in. And he's like, you mean to tell me, because I was driving all the way down to Allentown. I didn't even know if I was going to have work half the time. He says, you drive for like an hour and a half, and you don't even know if you're going to have work. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm motivated, man. I gotta make money. And he's like, well, he's like, how would you like to go work for a company that's the second largest glass company in the country? And I'm like, I'm down for it. So I'm willing to give anything a try. So I started working for Diamond Auto Glass. It was back in 2000, I think it was, it started. So it's kind of been a history since then. I picked up on the trade really quick, and there was a lot of business that was out there. And so I worked for them for a good 4.5 years. And then they gave me a lot of opportunities to move down to Florida to manage some locations. And I just didn't think it was a right fit for me. I, at that point, I would, felt that I needed to stay around here. I had family and I didn't want to move away. So, and I'm glad I didn't, because now I have two great kids.
Yeah. Well,
Out
I
of it.
mean, did they not appreciate the fact that you kind of turned down the opportunity, or was that okay?
It was fine. I mean, the thing was, I think they knew at that time, because they were going through a lot of changes in the company. And I mean, it was such a large company that there were so many different people that were involved. It really didn't even affect them. I mean, at that point, before I was gonna consider being a manager and moving down to Florida, I was doing a lot of side work, because obviously, we went to the same school together, and there's a lot of people that have a career working on vehicles, and there's mechanics and body shops, and I'm friends with a lot of them. So they're like, hey, Adam's doing glass, give him a call. And next thing you know, I'm doing one or two jobs a night. And it just kind of became a full-time gig after a while. So then that's kind of what really made me decide that, hey, I have to really make a decision here. I can't keep working for this company doing 8, 10 jobs a day, then working late at night, because I was actually making more money doing two jobs a day than I was, doing 50 jobs a week.
Yeah. How about it?
So yeah, so that's kind of where the decision was. It was a pretty smart move.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I imagine there's nothing really like working for yourself. I mean, obviously it has its challenges, but excuse me. Um, Talk about the differences between, you're kind of working for this huge company. It's kind of a safe place, right? You
Mhm.
have a job every day, to deciding, hey, let's jump into my own thing. Granted, yeah, you have business right now, but I mean that could be gone tomorrow. I mean, it's your neck is out on the line. What was it like
I
to make this choice?
I was pretty much already set. Well, I mean, I really would have never left the company, to be honest with you, because the guys that I worked with, we had such a strong relationship, and we had each other's backs, that I really enjoyed where I worked. And that was the most important thing, because I mean, if you don't like where you work, man, there's no point of being there. And so I finally was getting up and going to work every day, and I was like, I just love what I do. So when I was working for that company, the funny thing is that the guy that hired me into the glass industry, he became our district manager. And so he was like, well, hey, you're doing all this work. You can't be doing this anymore. He's like, you're putting me in a bad position. He's like, you've got to make a decision here. You either have to stop doing this side work and just focus on working for the company, or you're going to have to go. And I said, I understand. So my brother-in-law at the time, he's like, well, I think it's a good decision, because he was an accountant, and he looked at my numbers, and he's like, why are you even working for this company? I said, because I said, I'm dedicated to them and dedicated to the guys. I mean, these guys had me running around down to Lancaster, New York. They had me all over the place. And I would leave Lancaster, drive up past my house, and go back to the Kingston branch to see if the guys still needed help, because I was done early. And so it just everything kind of fell into place, and it was good because about a year or two after I started my business, they started getting investigated by the FBI, and yeah, the company, well, it no longer exists. So
Oh
there's a
boy.
lot of yeah, there's a lot of things that were going on behind the scenes that we weren't aware about. So God had my back that time. So
Yeah, I mean, big man watching out.
it was tough, but at first, like the first week that I left, I was sitting at home, and the days of fax machines, I was going online and I'm looking to see like who has faxes, and I'm faxing these flyers over just like we did when we were playing bands and stuff, you know what I mean? And trying to get some advertisement, and I got one response, and I'm like, this isn't going to work. So I had to get my hands dirty. I had to get in my van. I had to drive around to every single garage, body shop, car lot, and just pitch myself and tell them who I was, what I've been doing, and how long I've been doing this for, and what kind of price range, and I could save them some money. So I built a reputation by going out and just walking right into people's garages, whether they were in a suit or if they were, in Dickies, man. And I was shaking their hands, and they had a lot of respect for me. So that's kind of how I built the business, man. Just going out there and being hungry.
Yeah, a lot of hustle. I mean, when you're
Mm-hmm.
making those connections or attempting to make the connections, I mean, a lot of those garages are already working with other distributors, or I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, sure. Yeah, they were there. I mean, they were all pretty much like, there was two large glass companies in the area, which, Safelight was one of them. They're still around. And they were always the number one leading glass company. But when you go in and you're the technician and you're the face behind the business, what ends up happening is they trust you more than they trust the company, because you're the one that's actually getting being there. You're the one there that's installing the products and providing the service. So why would they trust the company? They don't know who owns it. All they know is that you're the one that's coming there, and you're the one that they trust. So by going in and pitching yourself and saying, this is who I am, I'm basically working for these companies, I can get you the same product, give you better service, and cut your price down by at least 30-40%. So they dug that, so they're all over it you know
now I imagine like you're saying that you're saving them 30-40%. So you're not really going in and undercutting this business, so to speak, because you have like a lesser quality, but like they're
No,
they're probably just trying to line the pockets of the CEOs and shit like that. So you're able to
sure,
kind of
yeah, absolutely, man. There was people there making 900 and some $1,000 a year, just wasted money. They could have invested it into the technicians who are the sole backbone of that business. Like if I mean, that's with any company. There's the people that are working for you. They're the assets, man. They're the people you got to take care of. I mean, if you don't have them, then you don't have a business. And so they were undercutting everybody. So it was like there was one guy who left before me, and then I ended up going on my own. And then I remember before I left, I was at doing hurricane cleanup down in Orlando and like Davies, Florida. And I was working with this guy, and he was from upstate New York. And he's like, heard me taking phone calls, because I was doing stuff, obviously at night. And he's like, it's like, so what are you doing? You're running like a business and stuff? I said, yeah. And he's like, that's kind of ballsy, man. I said, well, listen, man, I said, I got to feed my family. So he says, so I got some information on him, and he was the only manager working for the same company I was working for in a 2 mile, like or 2 hour radius around his shop. I said, so you mean to tell me there's nobody else in your area? He says, no. I said, then why are you still working for this company? I said, you need to go, and you need to go pitch all these insurance agents, body shops, car lots, you name it, and go pitch them. I said, because you're the only one they deal with. I said, if you can provide them with the same product and the same quality of workmanship, put your name on it, man. You know what I mean? Brand that and put your name on it. And he did. And I mean, his first year, he did like a couple $1 million in sales. I couldn't believe it. But again, he took all the technicians, and he's got this great business going. So it was great to see him flourish.
yeah. And how rewarding is it to be an owner of a company like Northeast Auto Glass, having a couple employees and things like that?
I mean, it's I don't know. I'm pretty humble, man. I don't really look at it like, oh, I have this business and I'm well known. I just look at it like I get up every day and I just want to make people happy. That's the most important thing. And as you can see, like posts and stuff that I make, if there's something that I can do to brighten someone's day, whether it means putting a piece of glass in, because a lot of people, I mean, some people might not understand that you never had a broken window, so you don't understand what it's like to have a broken window. What some of these people are devastated. You get people who call you on the phone, they're crying, like women cry, they get upset, men are pissed off, and it's like, listen, man, I'm here to help. I
Yeah.
said it's an easy task for me to solve your issues and solve your problems. And again, it's like we have so many different options, and that's why we're here, because I'll spend the extra 5 or 10 minutes on the phone and explain to them the reason of why they should use their insurance or why they shouldn't use their insurance. Because even now, like what's happening is these insurance companies are raising everybody's rates, and a lot of people don't even realize it.
It's
And
bad.
they're raising them because now these cars are equipped with all these sensors, and they
Yeah.
have to be reprogrammed and recalibrated. So the thing is that now you have $1,000 deductible. It was unheard of years ago. So I said, listen, this is what you need to do. You need to call your insurance company, change your policy, and lower your deductible, because you're paying $1,000 a month. They can lower it down to 100 and pay an extra $10 or $12 extra a month and be covered. You know, so they're not aware of that, because they still think the days exist of $150 windshields, and we're seeing $700 to $900 out of pocket now. It's
Wow.
insane. You know,
Well, that's what I meant by
so
rewarding. Like it's rewarding for you to own. Like this is your business. You're able to have these conversations with these
mhm.
customers. That's what I meant by rewarding. I wasn't like
Yeah,
not that you were like, oh, I have this business, like I'm a big shot. Like it's more of
no,
like
I understand.
you're able to really like I don't say change people's lives, but to a degree,
Yeah,
maybe
and I
some
don't. Yeah,
days, maybe
yeah,
some
yeah,
days.
absolutely. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't really ever think about it, and I just kind of get up and do what I have to do, and you know,
Well, do you have employees as well?
yeah, yep. I have my
Yeah.
my brother actually still. I have my two younger brothers. They still they work with me. My brother Ben, he's been with me since like, well, about 4 months after I started, because we got so busy. I brought him on, and then I've been through so many different employees. But then I have another buddy of mine I grew up with. His parents were actually good friends with my parents, and so it's great to have him too, because you need people you can trust. And
Right.
that's important.
Well, what's cool about that too, and the reason I bring this up is because, as you know, I work for Axelrad Screen Printing.
Hmm.
Dave Maloney.
Yeah, great guy,
Um,
man.
yeah, Dave Maloney, Matt Treble, the two owners of Axelrad, and like two of the most humble guys you'll ever meet too. Like that they just like you wouldn't even know if you walked in the building that they were owners or not. I think
Hmm.
I've actually been asked if I was the owner more times than they have in the past, less than 3 years now. Believe it or not. I don't know why. I don't know. But
Well, you're right there as soon as you walk in. You know what I
I
mean?
moved. My office has moved.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I haven't been over there in a while.
But yeah. But like what I was thinking is like um there has to be a sense of pride and yours is family, right? It sounds like
Hmm.
but like just being a small business owner and being able to supply jobs for people that you care about, especially because I know that Dave and Matt at Axelrad, like I know for a fact they never talked about it, but like I'm sure if I had to bet my entire life savings, I would put money on the fact that they, you know, are proud of the fact that they have, these people around that they supply jobs. It's not like a boastful thing. It's like I built this thing because I want to take care of people around me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And I'm sure at sometimes in especially the early years that they've went to bed saying, "Oh shit, like I have people that depend on me to run this
Absolutely.
business effectively and efficiently and all that kind of stuff." So it's like there's a lot of pride, there's a lot of stress and all
Hmm.
that kind of stuff. I don't think people understand about being an entrepreneur or business owner, and it's easy to be like, oh, my boss is an asshole and he makes all the money and I'm just working the grunt work,
Dude,
and
I
it's like
hear that all the time, man. It's like, be glad you have a goddamn job, because the thing is that you don't bite the hand that feeds you. And
Right.
it's like, and what people don't understand either is that because there's somebody that's running that business, you can run a business if you choose to, but that doesn't mean that you get to punch out at 5 o'clock. You don't
Right.
work from 8 to 5. You're
Right.
working from, you're not putting 40 hours and you're putting 80 hours in. And some people just don't like that. And like, my brother, especially, he's a hard worker, man. I'm blessed to have him, but he likes to have his 8 to 5 job, and that's what
That's
he loves
fine.
to do, and that's perfect, but some people don't get it, and they probably never will, but don't ever, like, they shouldn't degrade the people that are providing them with the opportunity to feed their families and have a career, because they could take that small amount, put some money to the side, and start their own thing if they wanted to
Yeah.
also.
I'm not saying that
It's all
people.
choices.
Yeah, I'm not saying people at Axel have done that. I'm just saying in
Oh no,
general.
I know. Yeah, no, I
It's
get
just,
you.
I mean, to put things into perspective, and I don't want to get off on a tangent here, but I just recently went to, I took my son to the Lackawanna coal mine tour.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I've always wanted to do
Just
that.
this past weekend. And I'll tell you what, have you ever been?
No, no, I've never been there. I've heard great things about it though.
Every adult person should have to go. They should be forced to go. Every single person. Because like a lot of times you go on field trips, like the last time I was there was it was probably 30 years ago. 41
Hmm.
years old now. It was probably 30 or more years ago. But you're a kid. Like you're fascinated with the fact that you're taking a little train car down and like in a tunnel underground. And then you see a a statue or a thing of a donkey and a guy. You don't comprehend everything that is being told to you.
Hmm.
So I did the tour when I was, like I said, 11, 10, 9, whatever it was. Didn't appreciate it. As a 41-year-old man, when I went down there this past weekend, dude, it's insane. Like the stuff that you hear and as an adult that you comprehend, like none of us should ever complain about anything in our entire lives ever
No,
again.
I went
Ever
to a
again.
tour in Virginia, and I'll tell you what, those people, they really, really worked for a penny.
Yeah.
And the amount of, I mean, what they don't, people don't understand too, is it's freezing cold down there. These guys didn't have
So cool.
insulated outfits, you know what I mean? Gloves. Some of these people never even walked out.
No.
And they were all controlled by the company they worked for,
Right.
you
That's the
know?
craziest thing that I kind of took away from that outside of the fact that, you know, they turned the lights out and showed us like how much light you worked with as a coal miner.
Mhm.
And it's like insane. It's like how do you see? And
Yeah.
then they showed us the amount of coal that they had to remove per day. And they were saying it was almost like an impossible amount. And even if you did do your quota for the day, the guy in charge could say you didn't, dock your pay, and once you get
Mhm.
in a hole there, it's like impossible to come out of. So you're like owned by the company. And then the guy
They
just
own
went
your
to
house.
yeah. Well, that's what the thing. They work there because they have a roof over their heads for their family, and they go down there for 10, 12 hours a day, beat themselves up, you risk their lives every day, all so their family could have a roof over their head.
Mhm.
And they all own the market next door and all that kind of shit. It is mind blowing to me, and that's
Mhm.
I feel shame, it taking me to 41 years old to really appreciate that. And I mean, the mine in Scranton was active until 1965. That's not that long ago.
Yeah, no, no. We don't realize, man, that the world we live in really is not that old. Even with technology, like I'll have a conversation about cell phones. Like, look at how far
Yeah,
that's come. I mean, we're talking on an electronic device now.
yeah. We're talking like
It's
we're in the same room,
nuts.
but we're not.
Yeah.
It I don't know. It just gave me such a different perspective. And I was talking to my son, and because what they were saying too is if the father was forced to retire at like early to mid 20s because they had children early, but they were young men still because they had got arthritis really early from being cramped in the mines and all that shit like that. If they could no longer work, it's either okay, you're getting kicked out of your house, or your 5-year-old son goes
Hmm.
into the mine
Works for
for
you.
your family. I say to my son, I'm like, because he's 5, he'll be 6 in December, but I'm like, buddy, this like that kid, that little figure that you're seeing, like that's a kid that was your age.
Hmm.
And it was the coolest thing because again, it's so hard for a young child to understand. That's why I think an adult should be forced to kind of go through that. But he goes, I'm really glad that I didn't have to do this. And I'm like, me too, dude. Like,
Yeah, you're glad you didn't have to go through it.
but I'm just glad that he understood, like, oh man, like I'm really
Yeah.
happy that this wasn't my life. Um, so yeah, it just yeah, I'm sorry to kind of get off topic there, but I just
No, man, that's good.
it's a we don't I think as a society, and, we can get into anything really, but it's tough. It's we take things for granted sometimes.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, and you don't realize how lucky we have it. And that's why I always, that strength overcomes weakness. That's why I started that too, because I just see so many people, man, that are just like so upset. There's so much hate in this world, and it's like, for what? It's your life. It's your choice. You get behind that steering wheel, man. You could drive wherever you want to. It's your decision to make what you want of it. You know, you don't have to be angry. You don't have to be upset. You don't have to be confused. There's people out there to talk to, you
Yeah,
know?
I guess this is a good segue into that. I mean, I don't want to cut the well, no, I want to get back to the auto glass because I feel like there's a lot that has changed, with technology and things like that.
Hmm.
You mentioned before with the technology and the sensors and the recalibration. So we will get to your strength over weakness, and I want to get back to that obviously. But
Sure.
I mean, the business you started however many years ago has changed drastically, right? To
Hmm.
today. Talk about those changes and how you've had to basically probably like re-educate yourself to serve your customers. And
Yeah.
I mean, again, you're a smart guy, right? But things, we get into routines and we get into, our daily activities, and this technology is thrown in your face. So you didn't ask for this to happen, right? These cars come
Right.
equipped with all these things. Like you're forced to have to adapt. So talk a little bit
Hmm.
about how things have changed over the years and how you've been able to kind of navigate those scenarios.
Well, I mean, what's really drastically changed is all the windshields that we installed, all the components that are attached to them. So it's not just the rear view mirror anymore. They have rain sensors, condensation sensors. I mean, the condensation sensor just measures the temperature and humidity outside, and it'll turn your car on with the remote. And whether it's cold out, it'll turn your heat on. If it's, vice versa, hot outside, turns the air on. And then, there's these cameras that will actually have forward collision alert. You
Mm-hmm.
get too close to another vehicle, it brakes itself. Forward braking. Then there's lane assist where it bounces you between the lines because it could read the lines on the road. And then there's lane departure. Same thing, kind of reads the lines on the side of the road. But and it was difficult for us to grasp that concept because we're like, why are they putting these things in the windshields? And it's not even a question of we need answers. Why are they doing this? It's they are doing it. You need to figure it out. So it was a few years, and we just got really stubborn. We're like, we're not doing it. We're not doing calibrations. But then a lot of insurance jobs were like, well, if you're not going to do them, then we're not going to refer work to you. And if you're not going to get the referrals, then you're going to lose money. So we started hiring other companies to do the calibrations. Well, that was difficult too, because now we're running a car to go drop it off at a facility that performs that kind of work. And I'm like, okay, well, now we're losing money. We're taking 20 minutes to a half hour out of the time driving around. Why don't we just invest in the equipment? But you're talking, you know, 20, $30,000 worth of equipment that you have to invest in.
Right.
It's not that you're not going to make your money back, but it's like, okay, now you have to buy programs, you have to buy targets, you have to, it's a whole other investment. So, that was probably the most difficult thing to adjust to. But cars are designed a lot cleaner also. Like now they don't have all these chrome moldings on the outsides of them
Sure.
where there's no debris underneath that molding to where you take the molding off and you have all this stuff caked on there and then there's mud underneath it. So you need to make sure you have a nice clean surface, and it's more work working on those older cars, and they just weren't designed as as efficient as they are now. Um, so they're a lot more sleek, a lot more. Um, it's just a better product now that they have out there.
Right.
And we get some cars in like, a 1984, Camaro or something. And, we'll see these old cars once in a while. I'm thinking, wow, somebody really has those still, and somebody called me today on a Dodge Dynasty. I mean, if you had one of those back in the 90s, man, you were the shit. You
Yeah.
know, it's like everybody had a Dodge Dynasty. And so, but yeah, we don't even work on those anymore. So cars that I've worked on were every single day, like I might see him once every couple months, if maybe every couple years. But then it's like they really, really give you a workout because you know how to change them, but it's really difficult because it's a lot more of material and stuff to disassemble as these as these newer cars. So that's kind of I think would be the most difficult thing is the calibrations, you know. And then
Well,
not go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, and then it's dealing with the insurance companies too now, because before I mean, we had one window, you know what I mean, and they would send over the work order, and it would be one part, and that's what they would pay you for. Well, now that they're paying for calibrations, they're knocking more of a percentage off of the amount that they're going to pay you for the glass. So essentially, now you're working for less money, and if you don't do the calibrations, then you're not going to make any money off the job. And all this is all really controlled by this one large glass company who owns the entire network. So we battle with that as being business owners because we can't dictate, hey, this is how much I want for this job.
Right.
They say these are the rates, this is what we're paying you, you like it or you don't. And there's times where you have to write in a supplement and email them back and forth and say, listen, like this took me more time, I had to take this. I shouldn't have to explain my work and what I want to get paid for, but it's just unreasonable. But that's a difficult thing that we have to deal with as a glass company and trying to get paid through these insurance companies. It's easy for the policyholder because they have a deductible. So if they have a zero deductible, it's simple. They make a phone call, file a claim, and it's done.
Right. Yeah, I was thinking it's probably, one of those things where people don't think about everything involved. They just think this is a windshield, fix it. They don't think
Mhm.
about the sensors and the calibrations and all that kind of shit.
They don't even know they have it in their car. To be
Yeah, no,
honest,
it just works. It just
right?
works. This is what
Just there's something that happens.
this is what I bought. This is what I paid for, and it just works. Now, do you get yourself like, when it's not through insurances and having to explain to customers? Because the reason I'm asking this question is because I've kind of found myself, getting frustrated with customers in my line of work, and I really have to kind of step back and realize that, like, hey, these people don't know the business,
Mhm.
and it's my job to really explain it to them. And if I'm not doing that appropriately, they're not going to know, and it's going to cause me frustration. And so I need to effectively communicate how the processes work. I assume the same kind of goes for your line of business when you're talking to a customer who's not necessarily using insurance. It's their out of pocket costs. You're like, hey, this is going to cost this much, this much for this. Is that ever been a challenge for you?
Yeah, it is on a daily basis, and that's why, like I said before, I spend the extra time to sit and talk to these people because they don't have any idea. They're upset because their window's broken. So now that they find out that they have to spend $700 to $900 on a new window, and some windows are more than that. I mean, you could be $1,500 into these Volvos. It's disheartening because they don't want to spend that kind of money or they don't have that kind of money.
Right.
So I think it's misleading too, because when you first buy a car and you're at the dealership, they say, oh, it has all this fancy shit, but they don't tell you what it's going to end up costing you to fix it at a later date. So I sit on the phone and I'll tell people, like, I'll get their VIN number. We always make sure we decode VINs because like Jeep Grand Cherokees have like 52 different windshields. It's absolutely
That's
ridiculous.
insane.
It's nuts, man. So we don't know what's in their car. So we take the VIN, and sometimes we're even wrong because we only have access to the programs that have the information in there. So, I mean, now there's somebody that's actually taken every VIN number and typing it into a program to tell you what features your car has. So when we get that information, I use a couple different websites. And if I'm confused, I'll call the dealership just as a third reference. And then I'll say to them, this is what your car is equipped with. Would you like to use your insurance? That's kind of one of the first questions anymore. So the way I even answer the phone and try to talk to the customers have changed as well, because the last thing they want to hear is insurance, because they think, oh, my rates are going to go up.
Right.
No, your rates aren't going to go up. I mean, your rates are going to go up annually anyway, whether you file a claim. It's just what your insurance does. So use it,
Yeah. That's why I pay for it.
it's exactly. And the rates don't go up because you filed a glass claim. Your rates go up just because your rates go up. And it's just your job to call around and find new insurance or find better rates. But yeah, it's challenging, man, because people, they don't know the industry. They don't know. And that's what they're calling us for. And you have 30 seconds to really make them feel comfortable and trust that you're going to give them the best possible work, at the top
Yeah.
of the market.
It's tough, man.
So.
I'm not gonna. I don't want to try to relate screen printing to, um, glass installation, but it just
Yeah, but it goes hand in hand.
it's
Everything
a
does.
service. Yeah,
It's business. Yeah.
yeah, and I really just recently I really kind of sat down and was like reevaluating how I present, the whole process, because I think, not to get off topic, but like, you know, in the screen printing world, there's so many variables. Like I think the biggest not problem, the biggest struggle is how many variables are in screen printing. And no one understands that other than the people who are in the industry. They have no
Hmm.
clue of the art and the separations and setups and the screen printing in general. Like it just they don't care. And I don't
Hmm.
expect them to. It's just not their job to. It's my job and it's our job. But it's like it's a struggle, and it's you kind of lose sight sometimes, and realizing that, hey, you got to really kind of educate people and you know show them that you're trying your best for them, and you're there for them, like you said
Hmm.
before. But yeah, I think dealing with everything's customer service and sales kind of combined, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Challenge for sure. To give you an example of like one time you just couldn't make a customer happy, just that just struggle.
Um.
No names, but just
Yeah. No, I'm trying to think of a situation. It's not really too often that we have a customer that's not satisfied with anything, but there are a few. Um. If I were to pick a certain situation, I guess it would, and it's kind of my fault too, because we try to do inspections on cars because obviously people have scratches and dents and stuff on their vehicles. And we had a girl that came in. I'm sorry, she didn't come in. She was gone on vacation, but her boyfriend had her car that week, and he didn't want to bring it in to have the window replaced, so he had his grandfather bring it in. Okay, so the girl doesn't even know that the window's broken. So what happens is we're working on the vehicle. I noticed there's a huge chunk taken out of her, like up by the windshield, like kind of where the hood is. And I took pictures of it. And that night I was going to see Kiss at Hershey. Took a bunch of pictures, right? And then I realized after the next day that I ended up deleting all these photos,
oh no.
and the photos were some of the car. And so a couple days later, I get a phone call from this girl snapping out on me that we damaged her car. And I'm like, we didn't damage your car. And I know exactly what you're talking about. Make a long story short, she was pissed off. She's screaming at me. And of course, then I got mad and I ended up fixing the car for her. But it didn't need to lead into what it did, because she took it to the dealership and was trying to run my company through the dirt. Here I do their work. So they're like, I know he's not like that. He'll make it right, you know. Then she calls her attorney friend. Well, I knew the attorney friend. So, you know,
That's
we get
funny.
that too. You know, it's just there's always such a comical situation with people, but I don't want to see anybody. You know, last thing I want is somebody to be upset with us. And if we need
Sure.
to spend money to make it right, we do it. You know, so
It's the right
but
thing to
that's
do.
probably yeah, it's probably the worst situation in the last few years I think that we had to deal with, but it wasn't too bad. I don't
That's
let too
pretty
many
good.
things bother me. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's tough being in the customer service business.
It is, man. Especially like, you know, we have our vans and you know, it's just like we provide a service that goes to your house. So we got our numbers plastered all over our vans. Well, what's the first thing that somebody does who has a broken window and sees my van driving down 81? Well, let's call that number and say that
Right.
they kicked a rock up and broke my window. And that's what
Oh,
we get, you know?
really?
Yeah. Or
Oh,
this guy
wow.
tried running me off the road. And I'm like, they don't realize that I own the company.
Yeah.
I'm the one driving the van. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
that didn't
yeah,
happen. You're talking to the guy
it's
that's in front of
me.
you.
Yeah. Yep.
That's
That's us,
amazing.
man. Oh, dude, there was this one story, and I'll make it real quick, but it's funny because it was just my brother and I. It was maybe like a couple years after we started. We were working down in Wilkes-Barre, right off of Cole Street, and the houses were right next to each other, and they shared a driveway. And we were working on this one car. It was like in the dead of winter, which we don't do anymore. And we were spraying the glass down and trying to clean it, and it was spraying all over this guy's car. And we didn't realize it was just kind of misting, you know, and it's just glass cleaner. But he comes out, he's like, "What are you doing on my property?" He starts snapping out on us. Well, the kid that we're working on his car is like, "Get in the house, old man, stop your bullshit." Just the guy just didn't have anything else better to do, so he's all pissed off. So he comes out and he starts freaking out on us again. And he goes, "That's it. I'm calling you calling your office. I'm talking to your boss, and I'm telling him how, you know, what kind of work you guys are doing." And I'm like, "You do that." He goes inside. He's looking out the window, and he's calling. He's on the phone, right? And all of a sudden, I'm right there, and I got like a Bluetooth in,
Yeah.
and I'm talking to him, and go out there and put him on the phone. Let me talk to those guys, right? He comes outside, and he's like, "Your boss wants to talk to you," and I'm like, he's already talking to you.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah, dude, it was funny, man.
That's so
We were
awesome.
laughing. Yeah. So, I mean, we have that benefit too, you
Yeah, I
know?
mean, that's such a great situation to be in. You're the guy. You're the guy doing the
Yeah.
job. So that they're calling the number, you're answering. It's cool to have a small unit like you have.
hmm Yeah. We have
Uh,
fun.
yeah. What does the future of Northeast Auto Glass look like? I mean, it's probably hard to tell, right? Like,
Yeah.
obviously,
It's,
you're
it's,
you're in business. You want to stay in business, but you don't know what technology advances will come your way. It's kind of whatever it is.
yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I don't foresee, I mean, I'm going to be in the business until I die, put it that way. I mean, I'm not going to go anywhere. But I think a lot of stuff is changing because we're seeing new vehicles with these that are self-driving cars, like the Teslas. And I think in the next 10 years, there's going to be more of that on the road. And you're not going to have to really have to be able to drive a car. The car will drive itself. There's a lot of like we have Teslas, and I'm talking about the calibrations. Well, they self-calibrate themselves. You just go in there, you hit a button, and it does it all for you. So like all this equipment we invested in, where's that going to be in the next 5, 10 years?
Yeah.
You know, so everything's changing, and it is challenging. But as long as there's cars on the road and there's glass in them, we'll be in business. You know, but there's a lot of work too because we don't we have, like I said, I was the first one to leave Diamond Auto Glass, and then there was other people that kind of follow suit. And I even encouraged a lot of people. Like I try to help people start their own businesses, like detailing businesses, roofing businesses, and um, I just want to see people succeed. And it's it's tough because in our industry, there's cutting glass, there's heavy equipment that requires special glass for it. There's some guys that just do commercial and residential. So they will get phone calls, they'll send work over to me to do the glass and vice versa. So we're kind of feeding each other work all the time. So there's always a specialty in our business, which is helpful too, because there's just so much work out there that's, to be had.
My son just asked me the other night. I don't know why. It was kind of out of nowhere. It's what I guess kids do. But he asked me how many cars there were in the world.
That's
And
an interesting
I
question.
figured, yeah. he he asked me how many. It went from cars to houses to people. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know where he was trying to go with it, but I don't know if he's trying to connect the dots. Because even I think I said there was more people obviously in the world than there were like cars or houses, and he's like, "Well, how's that possible?" Because he's a kid, right?
Hmm.
Well, it's just that's how it works. How many cars do you think there are in the world?
Jeez. Let me guess, you Googled it. Do you have an answer? Because
Well, I had to, yeah.
I have no idea, man.
He asked me, and I'm like, "Ah, dude, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I would have no idea. I mean,
I
different brand cars or just cars in general, because
just estimated number of cars in the world.
I wouldn't even be able to throw a number out there, bud. I have no idea.
According to Google, it's 1.47 billion.
Really?
Yeah,
1.47 billion. Wow. Hmm, that's interesting.
so you'll have a job for a long time until you're dead.
Yeah, right.
A lot of cars in the world. Do you think it ever becomes to a point where the glass won't crack? They'll make a car like. I feel like Elon
Well,
Musk is creating that cyber truck, and it's
mhm.
almost like bulletproof or whatever it is. Like, do you think it becomes a thing where we become a society where cars are just starting to be made with bulletproof glass?
I mean, to a point, they some vehicles do have bulletproof glass in them. You can manufacture it and have it made. It's not easy because there's a mold for each product that's out there, and there's a process that has to go. It has to go through. So to manufacture a window like that and to sell it, you're not. It's only going to be for specialty cars because the average person is not going to be able to afford it.
Right.
So they do make films now where it's almost like a tint that you can put on your windshield, and it's I don't know how thick it is, but it more or less ricochets the rock off the glass. But if it's coming at a certain rate of speed, it's still going to break it. But even with bulletproof glass, if you're driving around with it and it's a daily driver, so let's just say you have a regular Honda Civic that you drive back and forth and you're driving an hour and commuting one way,
Whoa, whoa, whoa!
it's going to get pitted up.
Why are you attacking me? Why I
What,
drive a
do you have a
Honda
Honda
Civic?
Civic?
Why are you attacking
I
me?
do too, because I have one. Do you really have one?
I swear to God, yeah. It's a
I do. I do
why?
too, because I don't drive
So
my truck to work. I want to save on gas, man.
exactly. Well, so you fixed, and I can't. I'm drawing a blank. You fixed one of my cars, and I wanted to say it was my Jeep Wrangler back in like '09, but I don't think that was the case. I think I bought a car in the window. I think I bought a Honda Accord from Motor World in 2015, and the window was like the driver's side window was funky, and I think you fixed that. But I'll never forget. You're talking about people who women crying, men being pissed off. It's not a sexist thing by any means. It's just
No.
it's how we
Hey, listen, man. I have men that cry sometimes. I just didn't want to say.
hey, I cry over things that are less important than and that's fine. But I just bought. It was my first. Well, it wasn't a brand new car. It was my first like car I bought on my own, and it was a Jeep Wrangler. It was yellow. I don't know why I did that, but it was young. And I'm driving it. I drive it out of. It was nationwide by the mall. I drive it out of the lot. I get onto the Cross Valley. I'm happy. I'm a pig in shit. I'm like, this is. I always wanted a Jeep Wrangler. I'm driving. I have to get to the next exit to get to my apartment at the time. Sure as shit, rock kicks up, hits the windshield,
Yeah.
puts a nick in it. I think at that point I just got it like filled. Um, but what talk about heartbreak? This is like my first
Yeah,
like car I
exactly,
bought on
man.
my own, and I'm trying like, the day I bought it. I'm
Yeah.
taking it home, and yeah, Nick.
Yep. Yeah, it doesn't take much either. And a lot, we get stories all the time from people. Oh, I was driving on the road and there was no cars around me and stuff. And then they're like mad because they're like, oh, I was driving and then somebody in front of me and they kicked up a rock. And I'm like, listen, go out to your car and go look at your tires. there's going to be rocks in your tires. So the last thing you want is somebody calling you and saying, "Hey, your car kicked up a rock." Everybody's got rocks in their tires, man.
Yeah, it's
You know
not
what I
on
mean?
purpose. It's not on
No,
purpose.
it happens, but they're like, then they'll say that the windows are junk. Well, they're not junk. It's that somebody's driving at 70 miles an hour and kicks a rock. Well, guess what happens? You're driving 70 miles an hour, so you're getting hit at 140.
Right.
That's going to break a window.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
inevitable. So, there's just, again, it's for us to educate them. So I
Right.
give them the insight and say it happens. But yeah, it's a devastating thing, man.
Yeah.
Because then it costs you money.
Yeah, it sucks. It's a inconvenience for sure.
Hmm.
But you're in the glass business, Northeast Auto Glass. We're moving into the future. Whatever comes your way, you're gonna adapt. You're gonna kill it, and you'll be in that ownership seat until the day you die.
Yes, sir.
You'll be be 80 years old answering that phone. Yeah, go tell the guy you're mad at him. Hello, I'm the guy
Not
you're
with my
mad at.
cane. I'm my walker.
Well, congratulations on a successful business. Good for you for
Thanks,
taking
man.
the risk. I know you kind of had things in line, um, by chance almost it seems, but like, good for you for you start your own business. You're an entrepreneur. You have people that work for you. You're providing jobs, and you're a consultant for your customers, which is always a great thing to be because again, people don't know the ins and outs of the business, and you're there to kind of walk them through that. And I'm sure that helps, your business. It helps, referrals. It just helps everything because communication is an amazing thing, and I think these days we lack it because we're
Hmm.
typing over a phone, we're typing through emails, we're typing over Facebook, we're typing over Instagram, and we're losing that human connection. So kudos to you for maintaining that in your business.
Thanks, man.
Let's get on to the motivational stuff
Okay.
or music. Which one? I want to. I
I'll
want to
do the
end with music.
motivational stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with music, man.
So people are miserable, right? People,
Hmm.
it's hard to be alive. It's hard. I mean, I don't want to get into politics too much, but I mean, I I've admitted this before. I'll admit it again. I voted for the administration that is currently in the White House, and I couldn't be more disappointed with that decision. Does that mean I wish I would have voted for Trump at the alternative? No. I'm really upset with where we are as a country.
Hmm.
And I don't think that's uncommon. That's probably across the board.
Sure, I think
You
most
know,
people feel the same way
it,
you
it
do.
just it
Yeah.
forget the parties because I don't want to make things political. Like it because unfortunately the world we live
It's
in,
about people. It's not
it's
about the
about
party. It's about
that's what I'm
people.
saying. It's just like
You know?
we are humans in the world and it's a struggle to fucking live.
Yep.
Um, you know, I do well at my job. You know, I can't complain about the money that I make, but I feel like every time that I do better, and I'm sure every time that someone gets a raise across the world, it's like, oh yes, I got a raise, but that money is consumed by the inflation and the price of electricity, the price of their water bill, whatever you want to call it. It's everything. It just costs more to live.
Hmm.
It's frustrating. And I'm sure you've seen that. I'm sure you've seen it online. I'm sure you've seen it like people say
We
it.
see it everywhere. Yeah.
It's hard, man. It's if I said that if I tried saying like everything's great over here, it would be like I'd be lying to you. Now, granted, I'm not starving. I have a roof over my head. Like everything's good.
Right.
But
Yep.
like again, like
It could be better.
well, it's just like if you like I'm in sales, so it's like my entire career's been in sales. I told my a coworker the other day, I've never been in a job where I get an annual raise. Never. Ever, ever, ever. Because I'm in sales. It's one of those things. It's like if you want more money, go get it. And
Hmm.
I have that opportunity, which is great. Um, not everyone has that, but even the 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 more that I sell, it's been consumed by higher bills, higher groceries, higher gas, higher electric costs, all that kind of shit. And it gets to the point where it's just it's defeating. And I'm very lucky where I have my wife who has a job, and so we're able to kind of, I don't want to say absorb those increases, but we're able to manage them, I guess you could say. But not
Hmm.
everyone has that. We're in a world where people are literally struggling and they don't know where their next meal is going to be. They don't know anything. And I think that's kind of where, strength over weakness comes in. Maybe I'm wrong, but I want you to talk about that platform that you are building and kind of giving people hope, because
Yeah.
it's hard. Life is hard, and we need to celebrate the wins. We need to have people that talk about how we can do better.
Right. Right. Yeah. I think the main thing that started giving people more stress, more anxiety, and all this stuff, and reassurance that the world's turning to shit is social media. I mean,
Yeah.
it really it's a reassurance that we're in the world we are today. You see reflections of the way people act on social media. Like you could post something and it could be of nothing, and then you got somebody texting you saying, "Hey, is everything okay? Is everything all right?" Yes, everything's great. It's just that something crossed my mind and I want to share it with people. And but people first thing they think of is something negative. Although it's a positive, they turn it into a negative. Well, why are they doing that? Because they're wired wrong, so people need to sit back and they need to really evaluate their life. When we were kids, we didn't have money. We grew up in a society where we were lucky to have food on our table. I mean, I remember eating cans of soup for dinner because that's all my family had to feed us with. We didn't question it. We didn't,
We didn't know.
sit here and say, "Oh, we don't have heat. We have to use kerosene heaters." Like, or we just didn't have heat on that night. We lived in a completely different world, but it was because we only knew what we knew. And now that we know more about what John's doing tonight, or about what Sally's having for dinner, or about what this person's wearing, who's buying what, I think it really, people absorb all that, and it starts to mix their emotions up and they become bitter and they think their life sucks. They compare things. Well, there's no reason to compare what you have that person has, because anybody living up in the ice lakes, they think, oh, their life's so wonderful. I'm sorry, but no, they're in debt. Not everybody. I'm just saying, there is a lot of people, they put themselves in a position where they're in debt, they're not living a comfortable life, and everything's about materialistic stuff. And there's no reason to think that your life's any better than this person, or your life's any worse than that person. And that's why I always see so many people, they're fighting and arguing on social media. And I'm going to be honest, man, I do it too. I'll sit there and say something to somebody, and the next thing you know, it turns into an argument and a fight. And I just I back off, because I didn't come on here to argue, you
Right.
know. But I think that's one of the main reasons is social media really has caused people to want to battle, and they compare life, and it doesn't matter the amount of money anybody has, because at the end of the day, man, we're all going to be buried in the same spot. We're all going to the same place.
Yeah.
But we just have. I mean, I just think people need to be kinder. That people need to watch out for others. I mean, because that's kind of what started the whole strength overcomes weakness. Is the pandemic hit, and I'm watching TV and I'm going, what in the hell is going on? And I'm freaked out. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I was freaked out. We're going to the store. There's nothing on the shelves.
Yeah.
Can't find toilet paper. Can't find paper towels. It's because everybody went into a panic. Well, back in 2008, I never watched the news. Social media on Facebook wasn't really that big back
No,
then.
you're
It
right.
was there, but there was no panic. Nobody was going to the grocery store and buying everything off the shelves. It's because of the way that we allow the media to control our society is why we are the way we are. So, and I
100%.
think that people, they need to just step back and I mean, me voicing my opinion is not going to change that, but I'm just saying I think that's what the root of it all is. But I was able to lend people money during the pandemic because I had extra money, or I had to dip into money I didn't have and use that I had saved to keep my business afloat. And I don't really complain about it, but I wouldn't have been able to get through things if it wasn't for other people helping me with, Ron and Gina Russo. I didn't have gloves. I couldn't buy nitrile gloves. So Gina's like, hey, there's a case on the porch. Come pick it up. Didn't ask for a penny. You know, people needed, certain items. I was able to have it. I provided it to them. So at that time, I saw there was a lot of people that were sticking together, people that had a strong foundation, and they were there for other people. And then some people are losing their jobs, they're taking their lives, and a lot of family members are sick, and they couldn't really pull out of the situation they were in because they were too far to a point of where they were so weak that they couldn't find the strength to pull themselves back up. And they might not even have anybody that they can reach out to. And that's another thing. There's a lot of people with like mental health issues, people who are alcoholics. And, there's somebody that's, I know that's kind of in the family. He went off the deep end, and he was missing, and he was drinking himself, and I think he was trying to kill himself. And there's no reason for it. There really isn't. People just need to be there for one another, and help each other out. And I just think that some people that don't have a big, like, strong family don't have anybody to talk to.
Right.
I mean, it's like, I love calling my mom up a couple times out of the week, and I talk to her. We have I have a 45-minute drive to work. We talk the whole way. Call my aunt, call my kids. It's like you have people to talk to, and unfortunately, not everybody does. So that's why I started the platform, because I'm like, there's other people that have gone through divorces. I went through a terrible divorce. I look back on it now, and I'm like, how the hell did I pull out of that? Like, wonder, because it's like you see some of your other friends and they're losing everything
Yeah.
because you have to. I look at it like this: life is an obstacle. We don't ask for things; it just happens. So you need to make sure that you're, it's like a battlefield, man. Whatever comes at you, you need to take full force, and you need to fight and try to defeat whatever comes at you, and don't let it take you down, because we're all given that opportunity to make that choice on whether you're going to let that situation defeat you or not. And so I said, well, there needs to be a room, a group, or something to where people can come in, they can express their feelings. And if there's somebody that can help them out by voicing their opinion, give them some sort of insight on what they did maybe to help them out and overcome certain situations, then that's awesome. And if it affects one person and it makes their life better, then that's one person that's happier than they were yesterday. And there's a lot of people that, just even at my work, they'll be sitting there and they'll be talking to me, and I'll start talking to them about strength overcomes weakness, and they'll open up to me. I've had like 3 people actually like cry to me and explain their life to me because they didn't really have anybody to talk to about it. And I was able to be there and open up and saying, hey, like, listen, I started this. This is what I'm doing. And because I went through this, or I saw somebody go through this, and then so they start feeling like, oh, I can open up to this guy. And the next thing you know, they're in my office, they're crying, leave with a hug, So we're all here for the same reasons, And I just think that it's enlightening that there's people out there that can just balance other people out.
Well, and I've said this a lot of times. I feel like we're more divided now than we've ever been before, even though we're more connected than we've ever been before. And that connection comes from the internet, social media, shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
But we are we live in this society where, you know, it's red or blue, or it's black or white, and it's this or that. And I feel like we really lost. You talk about, having a community and people being there for one another, and you talk about social media being the downfall. And honestly, social media, yes, 100%, but like, and I've said this for years, internet in general, blessing and a curse.
Mm-hmm.
These phones have destroyed our our community to a degree. Like we don't talk. We don't like when you're neighbors, you leave your door
Yeah, but
open.
it's not the phones, it's the people. So if you look at the phones, right, you have a choice. It's a choice to make. You could do smart shit, you could do dumb shit. And most people do dumb shit. They sit on
Sure.
it, they text and they want to do this and share stupid perverted things, or they want to go on there and say nasty stuff to people. When I'm on there, I'm looking up motivational stuff. I'm trying
Yeah.
to find out what I'm going to do today to find a quote or read an article that something that kind of just I can resonate with, that I can put out there, that somebody might be able to say, wow, that's a good point. I really like that. I'm going to take that throughout my day with me and change my day.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
I
it,
but do you think you've had a better foundation of in your life? Because think about you and me. We're probably around the same age, or might be a little bit older, but we
yeah.
lived our lives half with internet, half without. We
Mhm.
had a strong family foundation, a strong community foundation. It's probably why we're pretty successful in our business lives, where we understand the value of communication to customers and people in general. There's a generation who does they don't have that. They don't know what that is
That's
because
I
their
and
life lives
I
on social media. It lives on these
right.
phones and these screens.
Well, I think there is a problem with that too, because even I see a lot of younger people now, and all they do is put all their problems out on social media,
It's terrible.
and that's the last thing you want to do. And I mean, I grew up in I mean, obviously, I'm from Knoxon, and we were dirt poor, man. Like we didn't have much of anything. And my parents, they divorced when I was younger, and well, I shouldn't say younger. I mean, I was a teenager, but I had a rough time dealing with that.
Sure.
And I just, my mom had me at 13, which is not really heard of, and
Wow.
back then.
Wow.
So my mom, I give a lot of credit to, because, dude, I could have been given up for adoption,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't even know where my parents are. But because of the person my mom is, she decided that she was going to take her life and change her wants and needs and give those to me. And so that's where I think that, I owe a lot of who I am to her. So that's kind of why I've always been the way I've been,
Yeah.
is because, we've always had a good relationship, and we've always been close, because, dude, I don't even know where I would be if she wasn't my mom. You
That's
know what I mean?
amazing. That's
Like, I don't,
amazing.
I,
Shout out
I
to your
really don't.
mom. I mean, that's
Yeah.
unheard of, even in today's world. I mean, it's still a wow. That's incredible. Shout out to your mom. That's awesome that she was able
Yeah.
to.
So, yeah, and again, man, then as she got older, and I graduated and stuff, she went back to school and she remarried and has a wonderful husband that, just allowed her to go back, and she's a PA. She's, a physician's assistant. So, she's made a lot of great choices, and she's been through a lot of stuff. So I think that is where I get my backbone from,
But
because I've seen what she's done.
yeah. But let's go back though, real quick. I
Mhm.
mean, that was a world where there was no social media. Imagine her life if
Mhm.
there was social media. Imagine, you know, being a teenager and having to deal with other teenage kids making fun of her, all
Yeah.
those shit. Like, it's a different world. Like, so what I'm
Yeah.
getting at is like, at least back then, is the situation is as challenging as it was. There was not so much outside noise as there is today, and
No.
it's easy to say, "Oh, well, get rid of these phones, get rid of it. Don't pay attention to it. Don't." But I mean, you can't. There's not much you can do without a phone these days. I mean, it's
Mhm.
almost forced into our hands to use to pay a bill or whatever it might be. It's I worry about our youth, and I'm saying that as a father of a soon to be 6 year old and a father of a 17-month old. Like, I don't know what it's gonna look like in 10 years.
Yeah, I know. I worry, man.
You know,
I do. I worry for my kids.
it's scary, and it's what I'm saying to you is it's easy for you and I to to really understand the difference between reality and what's fake. Because I think I would say that too. We grew up in a time where you had the real world on MTV, you know,
Yeah.
and all these reality shows. Like we know that this shit's fake. We know it's scripted, whether they call it reality or not. We know we know that social media and the shit people post is more often a facade. We know that because we're adults. We can comprehend those things, but there are children growing up with phones, internet, social media who don't understand what's happening.
Mm-mm.
They just don't.
No.
And that's scary to me.
Hmm.
They see 16 and pregnant, and they say, "Oh, that's real life." Well, they see Kim Kardashian implants and this other thing. It's, oh well, that's just how things work. That's what when I get to this
That's
age,
all they
I'll do
know.
that. That's all I know. That's it.
It's put out in front of their face all the time. Yeah.
So I don't know how we got on all this, but like it all
Well,
stems. I think it
it's
all stems to people trying to comprehend all these things and kind of navigate this world we live in, and it's hard for people to navigate.
mhm. Well, it's like my daughter even will say to me said sometimes before, like she was telling me she has anxiety. I said, you don't even know what anxiety is. And she's stressed. You don't even know what stress is. This is years ago. She's
Right.
14 now. And I'm like, you don't even know what stress is. Where is this coming from? It's because she's heard it or she's seen it. So
Right.
that gets implemented into people's minds and they think I'm that way.
Right.
And I mean, I can go on a whole other subject, but I won't about
I know.
you know
I
what I'm
know where
talking
I know
about.
where you're thinking. I know exactly what you're
Yes.
thinking. I would
And,
love to talk
and
about it, but I won't.
no,
Uh,
and the thing is that we're who we are. And the thing is that because of influences that are out there that tell you you should be this or you should be that, no, you be who you want to be.
yeah.
And the thing is that we are a product of the environment we're in. And but people have to stop allowing to be conditioned by things and manipulated, and they just are.
Brainwashed.
Mhm.
It's I don't know, man. It's hard. It's I'm worried about a lot of things. As you are, I'm sure too. As a father, whether your children are 14 or 20 or whatever they are, it sucks. It's scary because
Yeah.
it's worrisome. You can't even really when you're talking about your business, you can take classes and educate yourself on um a windshield and the sensors and the calibrations. You can't really do that with a child.
Mm-mm.
You can't educate yourself as to how they're going to feel and react, and it's scary.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that's just how I feel. But
Yeah, and it's different too with my daughter's 14, my son's 16, and they're completely night and day because my son doesn't really bother with too many people. And I'm really blessed to have the kids that I have because like their mom just sent me over their grades and they're all like 3.9 average. And like they're just extremely intelligent kids. And they didn't get it from me. So but again,
came from somewhere.
so from somewhere. But yeah, man, it's just tough because my son is very like into sports. He's into exercising. He watches what he eats. He counts all of his calories. He's very and he's 16. I mean, I didn't have the dedication then. I don't even have the dedication now,
We didn't know. We didn't
you
know.
know?
We didn't
Right.
know.
Well,
None of that existed with us back then.
I know. And she's just completely opposite where she gets involved in all this drama with all these girls because obviously, the whole TikTok thing and they're dancing and they're doing this and she's got like 15 pages. Like cause I said, have one page, be you, show who you are. You know what I mean? That you're diverse and that you have all this stuff because that's going to be more effective if you want to be noticed by people,
Yeah.
you know? But yeah, and again, they're good kids, man. They don't like they just most kids are out smoking and drinking and he's going to the gym. So it's
That's
just,
awesome.
yeah. And again, it's just that I don't have to worry about,
Yeah.
you know, but where their life's going to be, and he's invested in stuff too. My son is like, he worked with me over the summer. I was giving him cash, so he got a taste of what it's like to make money, and he put it away and he invested it. Like,
Untaxable income. Good for him.
awesome, right? So yeah, let's not talk about that.
Don't worry. My 5 listeners won't send you to jail. Don't worry about it.
But
That's
yeah,
awesome.
so
Good for you.
it's interesting, man. Yeah, so but he, I have good kids, good kids.
That's right. That's great. I mean, that's all you can ask for, really. Just
Mhm.
make, hopefully the kids are better than we were.
Yeah, I know, right?
Well, they don't have a chance to get into big trouble. Not
No,
today. I guess
no,
maybe they do.
easily get caught.
Yeah. Can we pause for 1 second?
Yeah, certainly.
I gotta pee. So if you gotta pee, we'll pee and then we'll come back.
Sounds good, man.
All right, give me 1 second. All right, we're back. Sorry about that. Been drinking
Yeah, no
lots of
problem.
water lately. Trying to be healthy.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, as far as kids go, it sounds like you have a couple great kids, and I don't know what the future holds. I always said that for the past before my kid got into kindergarten, I was like, we have it made right now. There's no outside influences. There's no. This is easy life right now. He started
Yeah,
kindergarten this year. Not that it's been bad by any means, but there's you know kids are getting to be kids and their opinions and you know different opinions, and it's a wild thing. I can't imagine what it's gonna be like when it's. I think school, years from now, are gonna be different than what it is now, if it still exists.
I, I was just going to say that I don't even know if there's going to be schools in the next 10 years. I mean, as far as like, state funding goes, or I mean, pandemic, everybody was homeschooled pretty
Yeah,
much. I think that's going to be a thing, especially with all this violence, gun violence in schools, man. Like, it's a whole other
terrible.
topic I don't want to talk about, but I mean, I just don't foresee there being a reason to go to school. I mean, it's just kind of more so a social time for the kids because, like, truthfully, I mean, I just made a post the other day about school. It wasn't for me. I learned nothing from it. It didn't benefit me whatsoever. The
Right,
stuff that my kids are learning, they're not going to even remember any of this stuff. They're not going to know what it's, you know, what they're doing in algebra or trigonometry and stuff like that. It's never going to be even used as they get older.
right,
Like, the real study becomes when you become an adult. When it's like you graduated, that's when your studies start, because you have to figure out, who am I going to become? Where am I going to live? Am I going to go to college? If I'm going to go to college, what am I going to major in? Put myself in tons of debt, and then not be able to afford. I know people who have 70, 80,000 or more in debt because they went to school and they can't pay it back, and then now they can't fix shit around their house because now they got a mortgage and they can't do their landscaping, or they can't pave their driveway, and it's just absolutely nuts, man. So sometimes I feel like the system might be designed to fail you, you
well,
know
for sure. I mean,
depending on what you go for.
college loans for sure are there to fuck you.
Hmm.
I mean, I thought the pandemic for sure was going to pull the carpet out from under the whole institution of college. Excuse me. Um, just because, like, I mean, no one's going to school, no one's going to class, and I think the tuition you pay for. I mean, for me, I went to King's. I didn't live on campus. I would literally pay the tuition. Everyone else would, but I would go to school, I would go to class, and I would go home. So I wasn't accessing, the gym or whatever might be around me because I was going home to go to work. I was focusing on homework. I wasn't,
Hmm.
living on living on campus. I wasn't taking advantage of these, I guess they're opportunities, right? But
Sure.
I don't know. It's gonna be a different landscape for sure. It
Yeah.
has to be. I mean, we can't keep living like we are right now. And we're in big trouble in that the trades have been completely uh just kind of blackballed.
They've just kind of been stagnant for like the last few years.
But we were
There's
raised
nothing
in
like,
a world where like, oh, don't use your hands, don't work hard like that, like use your brain.
mhm,
And now it's like, well, what about where are the plumbers? Where are the roofers? Where are the electricians? Like those guys now went for a 2-year degree and they can walk in the door and just name their price because there's so few of them.
mhm.
There's so few qualified. And it's like, okay, well, this is going to cost you this much money, and good luck finding someone else to do it because there aren't or they're not qualified, and you know,
Yeah, and I
pay
think
me.
we need more people to be. I need more people in a trade.
Hmm.
That's what they need to be available. I mean, I know when I need a plumber, it's very hard to find. I mean, we had to, our appliance go on us the other day, and what didn't even go. It was just that the water is bad and the pipes were like the hoses or something had a lot of iron in them, so they weren't working. It was something very simple to fix, but I don't know that. I mean, I could rip apart how many different things before I find out that, oh, the hoses are clogged, and
Yeah,
I wouldn't even know. But that's what these guys are for.
yeah,
And like my family was like, well, they charged you that much. I'm thinking, well, yeah, because if I'm going to go do a job somewhere and use my gas, my time, my materials, it's going to be a lot of money because I mean, I'm the only one that's doing it.
yeah.
Got to pay for a service, and shit's not free and stuff's not cheap. So I'd rather, in being a small business owner, you rather give the money to a small business.
Yeah.
You know,
A little respect there. Yeah,
definitely need more trades though.
100%.
But they don't teach you that in school. I mean, they're
They
trying to get rid
don't.
of art. They're trying to get rid of what was the other thing? Shop classes. Like,
Right.
dude, come on, man. I mean, people like furniture, people like construction, and they're trying to take all that stuff away, and they're worried about football or baseball or whatever, and that's fine too. But it's like you need to make sure that people are hands on and can because that's a talent. I mean, not everybody can build shit.
It's a
You
skill.
know, yeah,
It's. I mean, I hope that we kind of turn it around because, or people just realize that hey, like I can make a ton of money doing this and not go to school and put myself in.
yeah. But can you imagine us in 10 years now without a plumber or a roofers or any construction workers? I mean, what's going to
That's
happen?
scary to think about, and we're
I know.
on the way.
Yeah.
Like I had a small roof job that I needed to get done. And I had my guy. I had a guy I knew him. Um I helped his kids out a lot along, you know, my career and I worked for a reputable company. Like I should have no issues. And
Hmm.
this whole thing dragged out for a year. And all I said was last year it was, hey, I like listen, like just help me out this year. Like he's like, oh yeah, we sealed this area, and then it'll take you through to spring next year, and we'll give it a permanent fix. Granted, the seal didn't work, so the spring I called. I said, hey, the seal didn't work. I appreciate you helping me out, but that didn't work. I want to kind of schedule the full fix like we talked about last year. Yeah, I got you. No big deal. And I said, I'm not in a hurry. I just as long as it's done before the winter, because I can't.
Don't ever say you're not in a hurry.
Well, yeah, I learned that too. But I knew the guy. Like, I'm not trying to break his balls. Like, whatever. And it started in May of just this year, and then he finally came out, looked things over, blah blah blah. Didn't give me a quote. He's like, oh yeah, we'll be there before wintertime over, or before wintertime comes. And before I knew it was October, and I even gave the guy 2 outs. I was like, dude, if this is out of your like, if this is too small of a job for you guys, I totally get it. Not a big deal. But let me know so I can find somebody else before winter comes. No, 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 no. We'll take care of it. I got you. I got you. Blah blah blah. I did it twice, and then it was October. I'm like, dude, and he has his read receipts on, so I can see
Hmm.
when he reads the messages. And the final message I sent him was just like, dude, I'm just so disappointed right now. I wanted this done before winter time, and you just completely disappeared on me. I don't know what happened here, but I'm sad. And
Yeah.
Reddit didn't even respond. I'm like,
Jesus, you've got to be kidding me.
but I found somebody else, Renegade
Good.
Roofing, John Williams. If anyone's listening to this far in, please by all means hit them up for your roofing needs. But it was that parental thing. I'm not even mad.
Yeah, right.
I'm disappointed. Actually,
Sure.
I was mad. I was mad a few times when it would rain and the small roof area because it was above my front door, so it would rain and it would leak. And I'm like, I actually took some videos. I'm like, you see this right here? This is what I'm talking about. It's getting worse now because you waited an entire year to get to this. I never sent them, so I'm like, I gotta be professional. I gotta be cool, but
Hmm.
it's but guys like that, and then after he ghosted me, I called three other places. Three other places were like, "Oh yeah, I got you. I'll be by tomorrow for. We'll take a look. We'll give you a quote." And two out of the three came by. Two looked. They're like, "Oh yeah, we'll get a quote together. This will be no problem. Not a big deal." Then never gave a quote. And it's like, "Hey, are we doing this or not?"
Right.
MIA. And then one of the same companies who I called, who I said, "Hey, um, roofer, whatever, I had this problem. I would love for you to take a look at it. You were recommended by somebody else who I know." And they're like, "Oh yeah, we got you, we got you. Let us look at our schedule, but we're planning on Thursday or Friday of this week." So I called on a Monday, Thursday or Friday this week. We'll let you know. So Wednesday comes, and I said, "Hey guys, like, I know you said Thursday or Friday you're gonna stop by. Is that still a possibility?" They're like, "Yes," and then never showed up.
Unbelievable.
Same company, and I didn't know this at the time. Came to us at Axelred, and some of their stuff got a little messed up. And then without question, I was like, "Yeah, these are not acceptable. We'll fix them. Not an issue." And they responded to me with like, "This is very discouraging, blah blah blah, yada yada yada." And I wanted to write back so bad, like, I wonder
See,
what
I
it's
would have
like.
written back.
Well, it's not my business, so I can't do it. But
I
I want to be
know.
like, it must be nice sitting in your glass house throwing stones because
Yeah.
like they were. I gave them updates, all this stuff, and it just wasn't enough. And even when I said like we're gonna redo this without question, it was like, well, this is very discouraging and inconvenient. I'm like, yeah, I get that, but I'm gonna get it done for you in 2 days for one.
Mhm.
No questions asked. This is on us. Like, I'll fix this as fast as possible. But like, for you to sit in your glass house throwing stones, I want to be like, do you want to go there? Do you want to do this right now? But I couldn't. I couldn't do it because
Yeah,
you know,
I know.
if it was my business, I would have 100% have done it.
You should have just consulted with Dave and just ask him, is it okay?
He
He
probably
might have
wouldn't
been
have cared, but
I
it's
know it's
just
the
not
purpose.
me.
It's just right. I get
Oh,
you.
I believe me. I mean, I'm the last person to I hate that, that shit, but I don't know how we got here. Life's hard. We need we need the
Need more
world to be
strength.
we need more strength. Yeah. So I
That's
mean,
it,
like
man.
you got this whole platform. What are your goals with that? Strength overcomes weakness.
Yeah, it's strength overcomes weakness. Yeah, I mean, I don't really do much with it right now, and I'm just going to be honest why. Because when I first started doing it, I was plastering videos all over social media, and my account ended up getting hacked. And like I said, I started it back in 2020, and um, so I kind of lost the page, access to the page, and so I had to clean it all up and stuff, and I regained access back to it. So I'm like, you know what? I got to trademark this and get this taken care of, because obviously, your personal page is linked to your business pages and stuff like that.
Right.
So everything was compromised. So I go to trademark it, and somebody down in Florida trademarked strength over weakness. The
No.
exact same thing, everything. So I'm like, what do I do? So I'm trying to reach out to my attorney that I had involved, and he says, well, we have to wait to see what the process is. And then I said, well, I'm going to change it to strength overcomes weakness for right now because I don't want it to be similar. He says, well, it is kind of similar. He said so. And logos aren't the same, but it's the purpose, the message, the abbreviations. And I almost feel like they stole the idea, but who am I to say that I'm that original? You know what I mean? That somebody else wouldn't come up with the same idea. So anyway, I don't really post too much on the main page, but I post a lot in the group because I want the people that are in the group to still feel that they're part of something.
And what's that?
So
What's that group called?
it's strength overcomes weakness.
Okay, that's the group.
So yeah, that's the group. And right now I'm just kind of waiting to see if I can trademark the strength overcomes weakness, and just see what happens. And if I can, great. If not, then I'll have to come up with a different concept and a different name. But well, not a different concept, but a different name for it. But at least everybody has a home right now they can go to and talk. But I mean, this what I would like to do at some point is get enough people, maybe do a podcast and have people come on, explain their stories, and talk about their situations, and maybe other listeners will listen to it and feel more comfortable to say, oh, I went through the same thing, and
Yeah,
they had enough courage to go on the podcast and talk about it. Let's do it, because I think a lot of people are afraid to open up and let people know their problems, and there's nothing to be ashamed of. We all go through shit, man. And it's like, I think one of the worst things I've ever battled was my divorce. Just it was absolutely horrible, not only emotionally, financially, but that was my choice. It's something I chose to do. So I picked my battle, and I needed to fight that for years. And it was 6.5 years, man, of just brutal shit. But I came out of it. And I see some guys going through this stuff, and I reach out to them like, hey, listen, man, there's another side. You look at something 10 years from down the road, and you're going to be like, wow, I'm surprised where I'm at. I know I can get through this. And you just need to have a tough backbone, man. You
yeah.
really do. Some people just need a little shove. So I just think that after doing a podcast, and um, maybe at that point, even doing small little meetings with people too. But I don't want to get to a point where everything becomes too personal, where people are got personal cell phones, and
Yeah.
then everybody's driving everybody crazy. I want to keep it more like a maybe get like not even like even a Zoom like we're doing now. We can get everybody on a Zoom call and do Zoom conversations.
Yeah.
I think that would help people out too.
Yeah. I think there's this misconception too. Like when you say strength over weakness, I think people, and maybe it's just something I put in my head, like weakness being like, oh, I've succumbed to addiction or whatever that kind of road might be. But like weakness is so many different things. And you said about, divorce, like
Hmm.
that's maybe a weak moment for you. And not that you were weak, but just like a moment of your life that was just like, it's a battle, like you said before too. Or maybe you lost your job. Like, how do you rebound from that?
Hmm.
There's like strength over weakness, or strength overcomes weaknesses. I think maybe I'm just making something in my head. Kind of might focus on addiction and being at that low level, but I think it's so much
it,
more than that.
it's a way of life for many people, depending on what their situation is. Because I mean, it could be somebody, like I said, divorce,
Yep.
like myself.
Yep.
There's a couple people I know that were alcoholics. I mean, and they decided to change their life. And I mean, we know a dear friend of ours that he is an amazing artist and bends metal. Got his aggression from bending metal and creating wonderful, beautiful art.
Yep.
And he's sober, and that was an accomplishment that he could be proud of. And
Let's say his
he's
name,
some
Scott Nichols. Let's just say his name.
shh, don't talk about Scott.
Hey,
Of course, Scott,
he's
man,
not
he's the man.
he's proud of that. He's proud of that, and
I
he should
know,
be
that's what I
one
mean.
hundred
And he's
percent.
he's a perfect example of what that is.
Yeah.
And he's somebody that was on board to talk about it, do the podcast and stuff. I mean, he's very busy, but he's definitely somebody that can put some insight in, and shine some light onto some other people's lives. You
But
know.
anything, any moment could be a moment of weakness, whether it's like I
Hmm.
said, like going through a divorce or losing a loved one, and obviously we all go through that. That's a
Hmm.
obviously we're at a weak moment when that happens because it's such a sad thing, but it's a universal thing, unfortunately, because there is just weakness and sadness all around us. So I think
That's it.
I
That's
think
what I'm
you have a
saying.
great
It results in with everybody's lifestyle.
yeah,
Everybody experiences some weak point in their life that they can contribute. You
yeah.
know,
Well,
to.
I hope you move forward with that. I think that's a great platform and just just an outlet for people to vent and
Yeah,
find comfort from people who've been through it or just people who are able to help guide.
yeah, right, exactly. Yeah,
So
everybody, has a leadership moment in their life, and they don't. I don't think a lot of people realize that.
yeah. Well, it's getting late. I mean, I'll talk to you all night. I'll talk to two till two
Yeah,
a.m.
man,
I mean,
I'm good.
we're recording on
We haven't talked for a long time, so
yeah, we're recording on November 15th or 16th, whatever it is today. The 15th of November is probably be released in a week or two. Um we start this at 9 o'clock and it's almost 11 now. So we're going on 2 hours. We may or may not have listeners still, but um the fun part of Adam Nulton, the kind of fuck it, like I don't need to worry about business and what that part of my life is and maybe music could help with finding strength over weakness, but the music is the fun part. It's the I mean, you have a ton of songs out. We've got songs like Redneck Nightclub, Devil and Me, but we've got two new ones that you just I don't know if you released them or you're planning on release them, but you shared them with me, and it's consistent with everything you've done so far. And the two songs are "You Don't Know Me" and "Devil Needs Jesus."
mhm.
Um, talk about your musical path. Again, I think it's the fun part of who Adam Nulton is, the
Yeah.
fuck it kind of part of Adam Nulton, and not just the fuck it. It's I think also a lot of it could be motivational. It could be uh, just relatable stuff that people go through in life too.
Hmm. Absolutely. So when I was 12 years old, a friend of mine came over my house with his guitar and said, I started taking guitar lessons. And I said, no shit. I said, I'd like to take some guitar lessons. And he says, well, there's a pastor over in Tunkhannock giving lessons for $1 an hour just to keep like this little, it was like some sort of religious, I don't know if it was a church or whatever it was to keep it open. So we started taking lessons off him for about a year. And then he stopped doing the lessons from that point forward. So I started going to Back Mountain Music, and I started learning from different musicians. So I started learning from like jazz musicians, blues, metal, and I just kind of became friends with a lot of people in the music industry. And then I thought to myself, I really like writing and singing, so I'm not going to try to play lead guitar. So I focused on just basically doing, just playing my acoustic guitar and being a songwriter, a singer songwriter. So at that point, I played in bands growing up, and then I decided that, I was going to play in some cover bands, play out a couple bars, and the bar scene just wasn't really for me. I didn't want to be out until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, lugging shit around and, hustling like some of our boys still do, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? But dude, I give them a lot of credit because some of the guys that we know, they really, that it's well deserved at what they do. And I give them a lot of credit for it because and again, I'm not somebody that can go and sit in a bar and play for a couple hours. I don't play fluently all the time, so it's not like I write something. If I'm driving in the car, I have a melody go through my head, or I'll go and I'll write something in on my phone, and I'll write this like chorus. And then I'm like, okay, well, when I get home, I'm going to do this and I'm going to add it to the guitar. I might only play my guitar for like 5 or 10 minutes that month. Like I really don't play a lot. And so I'll write this song because this idea is in my head. So I create this song and I send it to my cousin Chad. And then he's like, oh, wow, I really like that. So he'll throw some sort of guitar over it. And then we have an idea. So we go in the studio and he starts laying some tracks down. I start laying the rhythm down and then just singing the melody up top. We create this song. Devils Need Jesus, for example, the one I sent you, it was just a idea. And then I just started writing it. I wrote it in the car driving to work the one day. And then I just had the thought process in my head of how I wanted it to sound. And then we got into the studio and recorded it. And that's kind of how it came up. It's basically that's where the creativity comes into play. So, you know, being a musician for how many years? I mean, you know, I'm 46 now. When I was in my 20s, like I had auditioned for like American Idol. I went to Boston and I realized, wow, this is pretty fixed because there was guys that were there that were like all dressed up like the band Gore and they made it through and they actually were on TV. And I'm like, what's this shit? You know what I mean? Like all these people getting through on television and there's people who actually are talented musicians that they sent home and who are great singers. And I'm like, I'm done with this, man. Like
It's not
I'm
sexy.
just
It's not
no,
sexy.
no. I should have like did something that was pretty shocking, like dressed up in some, you know, drag shit maybe and some fishnet stockings and did something that was kind of shocking to
Yeah,
them, and
tuck
maybe I
your
would have went
dick.
on. So, but yeah, man. So you know, I've been playing for a long time and writing, and so the last few, I'd say, probably back in 2012 is when I first met my cousin Chad May. He I knew that like he played guitar. I knew that he was a great guitarist, but we never really hung out together. We're different age brackets. So I called him up, said, "Hey, you want to get together and play?" Said, yeah, let's do that. You know, we're family and both love music. So as soon as we started playing together, we just got a good vibe off of each other. And that's kind of why I never really went in and started recording any songs and any music consistently because I didn't have a band. I didn't have like a guitar player I could play with also. It was just me and my rhythm guitar. So um, over the course of my music career, I joined a couple bands, like played in this hippie band for a while and stuff too. It wasn't really my thing.
What band?
Um, we were called the Custom Blend Conspiracy.
Okay.
It was more like a jam band. That didn't really last. You know, it was like 2 years I played in that band for. But then you know, I guess my focus was just at that point was writing more songs. And excuse me, I'm having a hard time.
I get you, man. Drink some water. I'll talk through it.
I'm just getting over being sick.
I know
But
you're COVID.
anyway, yeah, man, we went
You're
on a cruise and
COVID
came back.
cowboy. COVID cowboy.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, you had to reschedule. We
So
rescheduled from last week to tonight. So thank you
yeah,
for doing that. And I'm glad you're
dude,
feeling better.
I'm a champ, man. I do what I can, you know, but it's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Everybody's been sick this time of year. But anyway, back to the music. So I started recording at Joe Loftus's studio, JL Studios,
Great
and
place.
yeah, he's a great producer. So that's kind of where everything started. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do, what style of music I wanted to play. I just had a bunch of stuff I've always written for the last how many years. Um, we kind of just went in there and it started sounding more like a country rock style that I was playing. And you know, I grew up on country music, you know, listening to a lot of you know, Alan Jackson, Joe Diffie, Willie Nelson. And so we started just writing, and that's kind of where all the creativity started. So the first album that released was the Jokers and Thieves. It was more like a country rock album, and it has like a mix of everything on there. And most of the songs I write, some of them are things I can relate to, that experiences that happened in my life. Not necessarily all of them. Some things are just ideas or a concept that comes up in my mind that I feel some people can relate to. Even if it's something, you get one little taste of something from a movie or a conversation that somebody you have with somebody, and it's like I could write a song about that.
Hmm.
So it's kind of what I do. But then this second album, we had a bunch of songs already written, and I really didn't know the direction I wanted to go with it. I just knew that, growing up, I listened to a lot of hard music. So I was a big like '80s fan, a lot of hair bands. So the music is more of a heavier style that we're playing, with a little mix of some country in there. But the song "Devils Need Jesus" was more based off of like I said, like the social media, the influences that the we're being poisoning our minds, and how musicians and movie stars are being uh, conditioned in this like elite society, and they want to control people in the industry. And I just feel like there's more hate, more evil, and there needs to be more people need to find more self-worth and find more, not say like I'm not a big religious person, but a lot of my songs talk about God, or they'll talk about the devil, because I always feel that everybody in the world always has both sitting on their shoulder. Some really don't know what direction to follow. So I just feel that there's needs to be more positive stuff in this world and get rid of the evil.
I just heard something or read something recently. It's
Hmm.
funny that you sent the song over that literally the devil needs Jesus or Jesus needs the devil like
Hmm.
to coexist. And I
Right.
forget, I should have looked it up before we did this, but it was something along the lines of like there wouldn't be one without the other.
Hmm.
If you imagine like if it was just Jesus and there was no there was no sin, there was no um what do you call it? Like, a figure trying to, want you to do bad things, like, you know, Jesus would just be Jesus. Like it would just be like all right, everything's fine.
Hmm.
I think that's what it was. I forget exactly. I should have looked it up, but I didn't.
Well, I mean, even like, there's times where like, and be honest with me. Do you ever like sit there and something crosses your mind and you're like, wow, where did that come from?
Oh,
Why am I
dude,
thinking that?
dude,
Like, why would I think that?
all the time. All dude,
Because it's not who you are, and you would never act on something like that. But you're like, why is that in my head?
there's a thing,
Because it was influenced by something.
but it's called something. And I'm glad you actually said that because I mean it happens to me, unfortunately, at least once a week.
Hmm.
Like a word that I would never repeat out loud will come to mind, or just I wish blah blah blah, and it comes out in my head, and I'm like, what the fuck? Where did that come from?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like
It's absolutely mind blowing.
should I commit myself? Like what's going on here?
But that's where the one song "Devil in Me" came from, because there's a devil inside of everybody,
Yeah,
whether you want to believe it or not. I don't care how religious you are, there is always something evil. That's why I think a lot of people seek religion and seek an outlet to go to church. But I'm not a churchgoer.
okay.
um, I'm not about it. I believe in what I believe in. I believe I believe in God, but I'm not going to go to some place that
Right,
has a lot of contradiction, and people are there for the
sure,
wrong reasons,
yeah.
you know?
There's a thing, and I would try and look it up now, but I'd probably just embarrass myself trying to do it. But there's a thing. It's called something. When that happens, it's like a. I was at work and I said something to somebody. I'm like, you ever think about something and you don't really mean it, but it just pops in your head, and they're like, oh yeah, it's this. I'm like, holy
Oh, they
shit,
knew
okay.
exactly what it was, huh?
Oh yeah, and I'm like, oh thank God, because I was like, holy, I might need to like I said, like get committed and so
Right.
I don't get in trouble. Like these are weird thoughts. Like
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess there's a good thing if I think everyone has these thoughts is what it
Hmm.
comes down to. Um,
The problem is
yeah,
some people act on them though.
well, that's the
That's
yes,
that's the
course,
real issue.
of course. And there's people, yeah, if you said, oh, this person is blah blah, and you're like, well, what the hell is that? As opposed to someone who's like vehemently thinks that.
Hmm.
That's a problem for sure. But I mean, your music is you said a rock country like, and it's always like this like feel good anthem, and um the one song, what was it called? I forget already. You did a video for Redneck Nightclub.
Oh yeah. Yep.
It's just fun. You said before too, it's like stuff that you can relate to, you know.
Hmm.
And that video was, if I'm wrong, please correct me, but bonfire in the woods.
Yeah.
That's how we used to party back in the day. We would.
That's exactly right. I wanted to try to recreate exactly how we used to like, it. It's funny because when you want to recreate it, it was such a project. But when you want to just go and do it, you just call up some buddies and they show up. You know
Well,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
But yeah, so I wanted to try to reenact how it was when we were kids and having a good time. But yeah, it was a blast shooting that. We had a really good time doing it.
Who did that
But
one?
it was Chris Bolton and
Okay.
his wife. They're up in Scranton. They filmed it. You know Jim Kindler at all? He went to school with us.
Jim who?
He's Jim Kindler.
I don't know.
He's older, but he plays in a bunch of bands and stuff too. He plays with
Okay.
Jason Stockage a lot too.
Yeah, remember, I'm 5 years younger than you. That's a whole like
That's a whole other
generation.
world, man.
Whole generation. I mean, that's a whole high school class. Like,
Yeah,
9 through 12. That's
yeah,
a different segment.
yeah. That's true.
You're old fuck.
Yep, pushing it, man. But yeah, so yeah, that was an interesting a video to shoot. We had a good time.
Yeah, it was cool. I think you did
Yeah,
get
so
open casting call for that too, right? Right?
yeah, we plugged it all over Facebook, and with the help of a lot of people, they just spread the word, man. Everybody kind of just showed up. They were all pulling in with all their trucks. I didn't even know who was going to be there, so it was pretty wild.
Yeah, I wish
The
I could have
turnout we
been
had.
there. I've been fortunate enough to have been asked by several musicians to be in their videos, and I've only been able to make one. I made my debut video for Don't Panic back in September.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I did some blow, which was
Yeah.
actually flour in the video,
Did you?
which is
You have
actually
to send it to me.
that's the fan favorite scene of the video. Great song, great video all around. It was I love videos that have like um a theme or a kind of a thing, and it was like a weekend at Bernie's type of vibe.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it was good. It was really well done. David Lang, who did the video, was phenomenal. The guys in the band are very funny, inherently, and a lot of people say that I made the video, so I'll take it.
There you go, man. That's awesome.
But yeah, so but what I'm saying, it's cool to um, do open casts for or open calls for the videos. And I implore people to take advantage of that because it's a lot of fun. It's a long day, but you meet
Yeah,
great people, along the way. And it's a little bit of a legacy. You can, that's something that will live far longer than all of us.
yeah, absolutely.
So
That's cool. It's cool you got to do that.
yeah, I'll send the link to that, but hopefully I'll make the next one if I'm
I have
invited.
to see. I have to see what the next video is, huh?
Well, yeah. What I mean, you have these two new songs. Are they being released? Are they released? Are they
Um,
being released?
they're
Or
not
what's the
they're
plan?
not released yet. The thing is that I'm kind of just this second album kind of took a turn, you know, and we were just laying songs out, really didn't have a direction. But like I said, then everything that I have, all these songs with like the devil and Jesus and God related to it, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna put all this stuff together because what we're going through in the world right now, everybody needs a little bit more kindness and love, and they need to find more self-worth. And so everything that's evil and good is kind of coming from left and right. So I'm going to put all these together. And there's always a song there too about there's a song that's going to be coming up, and it's called Red, White, and Blue, and it's about kind of like the Navy in a sense. This
Okay.
kid that's living at home goes in the Navy, and so I always have to throw something patriotic in there too, because I just love our country.
Of
And
course.
so yeah, these songs aren't released quite yet. They will be soon, and I'd like to finish the album by next year and get it out.
Okay.
So
Okay. There's a question I wanted to ask you, but I forget what it was. Um, shit. Shit. I wanted you to finish before I interjected on you. Damn it. Damn it.
I hate that.
I
It'll
hate
come to
that.
you after
I
you're like
hate
you'll
it.
be
Yeah.
laying there like 2 o'clock in the morning. You'll wake up and be like, "That's what I
Yeah.
wanted to ask
Yeah.
him."
We'll hang up and I'll be like, oh, I'm going to text them. Damn it. It was a good question too. It was damn it. I don't know. Oh, do you think maybe what you should do too on maybe a song or two of this new record, or maybe songs you're working on,
Mhm.
maybe add in a choir?
Yeah, I was thinking about doing that one of the songs. There's
That'd be
a
cool.
song that I'm working. Yeah, yeah. I've always wanted to do that, and I never got around to it because it really a certain song didn't fit the mold to any of them. So I have this one song that I would thought about doing that with, but that it's a good idea.
Yeah, I feel like all the songs that have included that type of uh you know part of the song has always been like this build up, and then the
Mhm.
choir kicks in,
Yeah.
and it that makes like that just kind of like makes it.
What
And the
was that?
whole devil and Jesus thing too.
Yeah, yeah. What was that one? It was. It reminds me of like a Poison song. What was that one song that they had?
I mean, all those '80s bands did weird shit.
Trying to remember because
I'm
that's
sure.
see that's where I relate a lot of my music to that stuff back
I'm
then.
sure U2 has done it. I'm thinking U2 has probably done stuff like that.
Stand. It was stand for what you believe. I think it was. You
By who?
got to stand. Poison.
Poison. Okay.
Yeah,
Stand up.
and there was
Poison.
a choir. There was a choir at the end of it. It's pretty
I just think
wild.
it's a cool vibe.
Yeah, it definitely is.
A good little added bonus to the whole thing.
Mhm.
Well, I'm kind of sad that like you have these two songs that I've only heard. No one else has heard them, just me.
I sent him over to Alan
Shush,
Stout. He was
shush.
playing
It was
them.
a joke. It was a
I mean,
joke.
you're the only person.
I've only heard. I'm the only person. It was a joke.
There was one
You
song
didn't.
that you played on when you had your radio show. It was "Clear as Day," and you're like, "Wow, this is probably one of the best songs you've written."
Oh, cool.
Yeah, you really liked that one, so that was good input. I appreciate that because I never know if anybody likes any of this stuff, you know.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. Is like it's hard to. I mean, music itself is so subjective, right? Like, I
Hmm.
mean, people hear it, they could like love a song one day because it touched them in a way, like they were in this certain mood, like maybe depending on what the song was, like life was great, everything's happy, like this is the best song ever. And then the next day they're just like down and out, like life's shit, blah blah blah, and the song doesn't really resonate with them at all.
Hmm.
I think it's so I think we can tie this all together and then wrap things up. I think that's we the life we live in general is so subjective, in that our communication is so how do I say this? It's done so much outside of even you and I. Like, I mean, like, we're talking, but we're not face to face. Like, I can always say, like, I hope that one day I have a studio where, you and I would be across the table and I could see you, I can hear you. Um, I could vibe off of you better than, there's a short delay on a computer screen. But what I'm getting at is everything's like, it's text, it's some kind of media, it's, whether that's music or whatever it might be. But like, there's so many different things about the life that we live in, and it's so subjective. And let's say you get a text from your girlfriend or fiance or whoever it might be. You could read that text at a certain point of the day. Maybe it's the morning, but maybe you had a bad morning, and you read this text and it says like, we need milk. And maybe she's just sending that to remind you. But you're in a bad morning and you read that as like, oh, she's nagging me. It's just and adding another thing to my list of things I gotta do today.
Mm,
Fuck her. What I'm saying is we see words on screens, emails, Facebook, Instagram, text messages, and we can read them differently at different times in the day, in different emotions that we have during the day.
mm.
And I think that's a huge problem in how we communicate.
Yeah, it is because I mean, I've done that. My daughter had messaged me a couple
Right.
times, and she was like, she would text me something, and I would say, okay, well, I guess she can't come tonight. Well, because she was busy doing something else. Well, that's not what she meant. And so, like, I'll forget to pick her up. And she's like, are you coming to get me? And I'm like, what are you talking about? I thought you weren't coming. And she's like, no, read your text message. So I read it again. I'm like, oh my God, I skipped over that one word.
Yeah.
And it's because I think we're just preoccupied with so much that we're losing focus on what the important things are.
Yeah. And it's
You
just it's
know?
if she was in front of you, that would be a different conversation.
Hmm.
A
Yeah.
110% different conversation. But because it's just words on a screen, you can't
Hmm.
you don't know cadence, you don't know tone, nothing. And it's just like you read it how you want to read it in that moment.
Yeah.
And it's such a poor fucking way to communicate. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, well, it is because I mean, just like you don't understand what the emotion is behind it.
no,
So you read it however you want to read it. Although sometimes you get defensive and they're like, what are you talking about? That's not what I meant. And I'm like, well, that's
exactly.
how you said it. No, I didn't say it like that. And then it becomes an argument. Well, it's just
Yeah.
because
And it gets
it's how you
worse. It
feel.
just gets worse.
Yeah.
It just snowballs. And I hate it. I hate. I mean, I love the fact that we're doing this. Love it more if we were face to face because I think there's no better way to have a conversation than face to face. Um, but so much of our lives right now, like we don't want to be on the phone. I mean, I hate the phone. I don't want to talk on the
Hmm.
phone. I don't want to hold it up my ear and have that awkward like is this conversation over type thing, like blah blah. But we need to get more of that, I think.
Yeah.
And I think I mean we can wrap it up and all like think about the communication you have with customers. You know, if it's over the phone, you're taking the time to effectively communicate. If it's face to face, you're doing a better job because it's face to face. Um, strength or weakness, communication, being open, being honest, being all those things, and having that platform be a positive place. And of course, your music. Just being a transparent. Um, there's no kind of hidden things in that. It's this is the music, this is the lyrics, this is what I want to sing and talk about.
Yeah. Absolutely. And again, it's an outlet for me to, display thoughts, that I have in my mind because work's consuming our life and children are consuming your life. So it's not always you get that opportunity to create and share personal stuff,
Yeah,
and to tell a story, essentially.
right. Well, that's all I really have for you. I mean, we're
Man, I
going.
appreciate it. It's been great, man.
My
Talking.
computer's gonna die. Um,
I think I'm
it's
gonna die.
it's late. It's late on a Wednesday
Dude,
evening.
I'm old. I can't stay up
I'm
past
not
10
far
o'clock.
behind you, dude. I'm
You
not
know what I'm
like
saying?
my daughter's getting tubes on Friday because she's had like a seventh or
Oh
eighth ear
no.
infection. Yeah,
Oh, God bless her.
it's been a challenging again, and it's things like that. It's like, as a husband and wife, you're just drained and you say things or you text things. You don't mean them the way they come off, but you read them
Hmm.
because like you're exhausted. And
Hmm.
like, why are you being such a bitch? Or why are you being such a dick? Whatever it might be. And yeah, I mean, there's these things in our lives. If we just communicated, face to face more often, we'd be in a better spot. But I mean, it's easier to communicate via text, and it's not a great part. But
It's convenience,
yeah,
you know.
but dude, I'm so happy we got to do this. I mean,
Yeah, I appreciate it,
I've
man.
known you, like I said, since Addiction Clothing Company back in '06, maybe '07,
That
'08.
was 2010, I believe.
10. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. But you have this entrepreneurial spirit for as long as I've known you. So it's cool that you continue to have this successful glass business. You have this platform where you're trying to be positive and help people along the way because we all need that. And then obviously the music is a great part of all of it. So thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for being a positive influence on the world around you.
Yeah.
And thanks for being a friend, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I appreciate you, inviting me on this. We had a great time.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully, I will see you in person
Yeah.
sooner
Well,
than
I'll drop in here and there,
yeah.
I'm not
Well,
far
come
away.
sit. Yeah, just ask me. Just ask me. 'Cause I'm not in the same spot. Just ask me.
All
We'll
right.
we'll we'll shake hands. We'll give a hug, and we'll shoot the shit,
Yeah, absolutely, man.
buddy. Thank you so
Have
much,
a good night. Get some
Adam
sleep.
Nulton, Adam Nulton. Check out his music on Spotify. Check out the pages on social media. Strength
Overcomes
overcomes
weakness.
weakness.
Yep.
And then obviously for all your glass needs, any windshield, Northeast Auto Glass.
Northeast Auto Glass.
Yeah, he's the guy. He'll take care of you. He'll walk you through the process.
You got it.
So, dude, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
All right,
Appreciate it.
later. We'll
All
see you.
right. Take care. All right.